welcome to the Square on Table podcast. I'm your host, Dmitri. This is my co-host.
This your boy, Marky Mark.
And today, our Freaks and Geeks, we have a very short mini-series called The Eye of Wakanda that we're going to be talking about today, which really changed the trajectory of Black Panther and the lore, and is officially the earliest in the MCU timeline. That's great. Early.
That is.
But also the farthest in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
The last episode into the farthest of the timeline, which we'll talk about that because that is going to definitely lead into some Black Panther 3 stuff. So stick around with us. We are definitely going to have to talk about that. But Marcus, how did you feel about Eye of Wakanda?
Eyes of Wakanda overall, I will say this. When I first heard about it, I was on the fence because they've been hit or miss with the animated series. And also, I was nervous because they were saying, like, this is, like, the history of Wakanda. And I was so nervous because I was like, they've been real iffy with writing Wakanda stuff, like any kind of lore. So I was just like, man, I got to come into it with not so high expectations and just keep them here. So when I get into it, it's okay. And I'm glad I did that because it did make me enjoy it. It does have its flaws, but it's not like big. And to be honest, the only flaw for me really is the short episodes, the only 4 episodes. That's always all. It does follow that pattern that Marvel has been doing with these miniseries. They just set up these moments or intertwine and weave in between these gaps for the MCU. It's almost like these little stopping points to fix stuff. Because that's how we look at it. It's like a fixer-upper.
The retcon, retcons and stuff.
They
stuff up.
They've been doing that with pretty much all of their animated stuff. Now that I think about it, because remember, What If at first was just supposed to be like multiverse, other stuff that had nothing to do, and then it ended up being a tie-in to the MCU. I think that's my biggest thing with it. It doesn't feel like it's its own thing sometimes, which hurts it.
Yeah.
However, we got some pretty cool ass characters. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that. Even though he was a villain, the Lion was dope as hell.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Iron Fist was cool.
I loved Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. And of course all the Wakanda warriors.
The war dogs, right?
Yeah, the war dogs. I don't know if I'm saying it. Baka, Basha, Tafari, Kuda, even the future. Like all the warriors were cool. And I thought the animation, I really dug the animation because it felt what it felt like animation in Soul when they go into the afterlife.
Yeah.
It felt like that. So it felt like it was Pixar, but 2D Disney because a lot of the nose and the shapes of the nose and stuff. So it felt like a Disney Pixar 2D 3D thing fused together. And it was real clean. And then some of the backdrops felt like paintings and stuff. The way they had the like scenery and all that. I definitely enjoyed the animation. I love that opening sequence.
Yeah.
It was almost like the sand, but it's like charcoal. The art, the way they did the art, looks like charcoal, which is very cool because that's like the oldest form of art, like charcoal, like on the caves and stuff. So I thought that was cool, but I really enjoyed it. I will say this. I love how Wakanda is like always been ahead in tech of whatever dynasty or century it's in. Like they was riding around in like little car things and flying and stuff, and we had the 1400s, and I was like, yo, this is like even when they had in the first episode in the Lions Den, which is around 1260 BC, and when they was like when she was describing who they was looking for, I thought when the sand came down, I thought like she was gonna like draw on it or something. But to see that tech and it's like the sand and it was showing still like the person and all that, I was like, bro, they are so advanced to it's ridiculous. And I was watching another YouTuber and they was talking about how it almost feels like it's so crazy because for us it's like ahead of time, but in Wakanda, they're probably like, oh yeah, this is very primitive. If that's primitive, like that's it, and that's the part that I've always loved about Wakanda in the comics and everything. Like they've always been that kind of very technological civilization, very progressive and secretive. And you see a lot of that too, a lot of secrets. So
Hmm.
what I've got from this also too is Wakanda has been having secrets in the dark since the beginning of time. So this sending out people in the world, this wasn't a new thing that started in the first Black Panther film. And you actually get to see the toll it takes on some of these warriors and how it can
Yep.
affect them, the trajectory they take with the paths they go on. So it really dove deep into a part that they introduced, but they didn't really touch bases on.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, but I also agree like it showed how like even in like the most like futuristic thing where like she came back in time, they had found time travel and were able to use to jump from that time to there and survive it because they had the heart-shaped herb which they've been
Vibranium.
cultivating for centuries. So they've always been ahead of time. But the way that Wakanda's like how secretive they are, it plays really well on the idea that Wakanda could be, if we're actually looking at history, Wakanda could always have been there in the backdrop and all these human inventions. Oh yeah, we got wheels now, we got cars. They're flying around in behind the back they're flying around in like ships and stuff like that. Where you think us in regular history outside of Wakanda are like, man, the car, that's so futuristic. They're like, bro, we've had flying things since, like you said,
We've
since
already had this.
14th century or whatever.
They
And
had
then
communicators and stuff.
yeah, they had
Like
communicators and
I'm
their
just like,
weapons were
man,
like advanced, even with Achilles, like the Menma, I think that's his
yeah, I
name,
think it was,
the
I think it was,
warrior.
yeah, Mema, yeah.
Yeah, Menma, and he had energy like projectiles
Mhm.
that early in history. They had weaponized it to a level to where he was able to heal himself back then.
Yeah.
So they used the vibranium to heal himself.
Yeah, the little device. It was almost like spraying Neosporin.
Exactly, he sprayed
Like
Neosporin on
high
the
tech
cat.
Neosporin. Yeah. And it's so
So
crazy, bro, because to me, it all makes sense. If we look at actual history, I'm gonna go off course just real quick. Actual history of brown people throughout the world from the beginning of history. We talk about Egypt and Africa, Ethiopia. All these places were known for people who became rich kings and made a lot of money,
yeah,
scholars who figured out astrology and the stars and math, mathematicians, inventors. They were doing all of this stuff and teaching these different civilizations all of this knowledge. It's like Wakanda mirrors that in the Marvel universe history.
yeah,
They predate everything. We know this, we have this knowledge because and I say that because it explains just like how people say, how did they build the pyramids?
exactly.
How did they build all this technology? Because they had the knowledge to do. They had the scientists. They understood how nature works and how the natural resources can be this and how vibranium can literally take us into the future ahead of time. Like you said, the future and as in, oh, we're 100 years ahead of each century. So I think
It,
that's what's so cool because it definitely mirrors like real life history of brown and African people that they always
exactly.
leave out. So I think that was really dope.
Yeah, and like even like when it comes to like I say how the Marvel Cinematic Universe or not Marvel Cinematic, Marvel Comics, and even now I guess the Cinematic Universe pays that respect to Africans and by making the version of African people in their world so highly advanced because they were and paying that
Mhm.
and understanding and acknowledging that they had that is one of the things that I respect Marvel for doing. Like I can respect them for respecting that culture and understanding it and not doing whatever stuff they were doing all that doing disrespectful things. I'll say it like that to keep it very clean. Doing disrespectful things. And I liked how they tied in Black Panther, the first one, to everything.
Mm-hmm.
How they tied Killmonger to Wakanda and the world's beating the what do they call them? The not scourge. What do they call them?
The things that they were fighting at the end. It's
Yeah,
crazy. I
the
was
horde.
just looking at it. Yeah,
The horde.
Yeah, the horde.
Yeah,
The horde. Yeah.
how that point was so important that it led to them being able to beat the horde. Because Killmonger did what he did, it was a central anchor point that led to T'Challa viewing and opening up Wakanda and realizing that Wakanda has been sheltered, has been closed off for centuries, keeping his tech, which is not the right thing to do. He was like, it's not the right thing to do. We should share this with everyone so that everybody can be at least protected in some way, which led to them beating the horde eventually, which I think, because the rumor is, and it's a rumor, but I think it might be true based on this Eye of Wakanda, we're going to have time travel. We're going to have intergalactic Wakanda. We're getting both of those in some fashion, or at least
Most
the
definitely.
start of it.
Most definitely. I think this will be the most Afro futuristic Black Panther that we've gotten. Like all of it is Afrofuturism, but as far as like the whole space travel and the mothership, all that kind of ideas, all that intergalactic, I think it'll definitely dig deeper into that in this next film.
Do you think that they're gonna make the Horde a like Black Panther centric like villain, or not even villain, but I guess a villain in a way? But do you think they're gonna leave it in like a Black Panther's like timeline kind of thing where he's handling that stuff and like the world doesn't need the Avengers don't need to come in get involved in it, or do you think that they're gonna make it like an Avengers movie type thing in the future? Because I know they got Doomsday and Secret Wars coming up, and I think they're going more cosmic, which could technically lead to the Horde because they are planet killers from space.
Yeah, I think they would probably try to bring in other heroes. Only now because we know that timeline was changed.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is a possibility of them showing up, it'll be a different timeline. So it won't just be Wakanda being left. So I'm pretty sure we'll get like the Avengers, probably the X-Men before. So
you think we're gonna get like Nova Corp and stuff like that?
Yeah, if it's a big enough like threat, I think so. But if they're not trying to make it that kind of threat, like how they did with certain movies like Thor, like with Ragnarok, they took it down a little bit as much as like how big of a threat it was to the like whole MCU. So we could possibly get that. Like it could just be in Wakanda, like you said, and it'll just be a Wakanda thing. But because they've been opened up to the world, they might call in like Sam, or they might call in Storm or somebody. Because by then, I'm pretty sure the X-Men would probably be introduced. So it'll probably be on that type of level, I think.
I thought about this. I thought about something. This hopped in my brain. What if they use the Horde as a threat to make the Illuminatis? That's the reason why they gather together.
I like that.
He brings it all of them in to the 616 because we've seen them in the 828 or I think it's 838. 838, I think it was the universe that was in Multiverse of Madness. I think 838 or something like that. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but they had them in a different universe, so it was not the 616. So this could be a way for them to bring in. We do now have a Reed Richards. We do. Yep. Well, they had one then, but we have a 616 Reed Richards. We're gonna probably get another T'Challa or another T'Challa Jr. or whatever because Black Panther 2 led with a kid, and then we could have. Honestly, we could have. I don't know if they'll bring Doom involved. Maybe Namor exists. So there's that.
We got Namor.
So we're
going to get X-Men, so we're gonna have Charles. So.
Exactly. So we're getting each of these members are being presented and placed in the 616 universe, or I think it's 199 is the MCU. I think 1999. 1999. Yeah, 1999 because I rewatched Spider-Verse today. 199999 or something like that.
1999, aka 616, aka Original Earth, aka Earth One. Like
it's so many different. Exactly. I gotta remember all these different numbers and stuff, but I think that'd be a smart way to do it. Now, is Marvel going to do that? Probably not. And if they do, You heard it here first from the Square on Table. We said it first.
We've called a lot of stuff
big
by the
brain.
way too.
Yeah, we big brain that.
Yeah,
You know,
we've
watch
called a
Kevin
lot.
Feige swiping in the air right now after he posted. He's just swiping. They got it.
So I just wanted to make one point too.
Okay.
I love how they like subtly drop like a Nick Fury Easter egg connection with Noni.
Oh, you're talking about with eye
She had
patch?
the patch, and she
Yeah.
was the first official director of the what's his name? He just said it. Of the Dogs of War.
Oh, the War Dogs.
War Dogs. I don't know why I keep calling them Dogs of War. The War Dogs. She was like the first official director. And I was like,
Yeah.
they really played on that. Like director of Shield, first official director. So I was like, okay.
But even more, Nick Fury got his eye patch from what happening? Or he got his eye.
Scratching him.
And what happened
And
to?
a lion,
Yeah,
technically a lion
yeah.
scratcher. Yes, yes.
So there's another
yes.
tie.
So I thought that was cool and funny a
That's
little bit,
clever.
that they did that. So with these 4 episodes, which one do you think was the strongest, and which one do you think was the weakest, or didn't hold up as good? Because I don't want to say the weakest. Which one you thought held up the best, and which you thought didn't hold up as good?
Honestly, I'd say I think 4, of course, held up pretty good. The first one was good. I like 2 for what it meant overall, but it wasn't as strong as 3. 3 was a little bit stronger just because of Iron Fist showing up and us seeing that version of Iron Fist, which is one of the earlier versions of that character. But also at the
Yeah,
same
and she was the first person to infiltrate Wakanda.
exactly, yeah, that too. But also it proved in a way that Iron Fist's like abilities are a little bit more stronger when it comes to harnessing like vibranium
Yeah,
than
she just pulled it
Wakandans.
right out.
He just
Yeah.
pulled it right out. And the best, I don't know if he's the best, but the person that went to get that thing couldn't do it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that shows a bigger implication of powering when it comes to that. So I think, sad to say, 2 is, I think, not the strongest, but it's not a bad episode. I'm not
Yeah.
saying any of the episodes are bad.
I'll say this about 2. Why I feel that way too is because I think because we were familiar with the story it was tied into, it
Yeah.
took away like that wow factor because it wasn't like something fresh. So it was like the
Mm-hmm.
story of Achilles. We all, if you've been in school and took literature sometime in college or high school, you've heard the story of Achilles, so you know what's to expect. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. They put in a Wakanda warrior in there. That's cool. So I think that's another reason why it feels like that because I think it was so familiar. So it was like, okay, this is fun. Like with the others, they were like more impactful. It's like part of the story because the first one introduces that special group that they made aside from the Dora Milaje and how they showed that one of the warriors of Wakanda that they sent out, what the world turned him into when he opened himself to the world. And that's another reason why, like you said, 2 could be debatable because it did show what happens when you come back from that world. Like how
Yeah.
you feel like a stranger in your own home. So that was impactful. I'll say this like you. I think 4 is the strongest one because of the implications it had to do with the future,
Yeah.
like the future as far as past what the MCU is, and the future as in to where the MCU is like in the present day, like our present day. And I think it's so cool that Axe showed up because it was such a big part in the first Black Panther because he was like, yeah, this is Wakanda because they've been stealing the artifacts from us. And now we get to see what they had to do to get it back, like all those artifacts that they
Yeah.
sent these warriors out to get. So it brought everything into full circle, which I enjoyed, and it was cool seeing that. And that's why I think that 4th one was so strong because you even got to see like the beginning of that lineage of kings.
Yeah.
So it touched on a lot of stuff within a very short amount of time, which was crazy that it got all that fit all that into that short amount of time. So I even liked the future Black Panther suit. That was cool.
Oh, that was cool. I think one thing that was cool about that Black Panther is she was able to give them the ability to see the future.
That was dope. You know what I said when she first appeared? I said, "Oh shit, no, they don't got a predator in here." I thought we was gonna get a predator, and I was gonna say, "Oh damn, they just finna go like this." I was like, "They already violent enough, but they finna fight a predator." So I
That's
was like,
crazy. That would
"Oh,"
be
and then
crazy.
once I seen it, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." But another cool thing too is to see the Dora Milaje never change. They look
Mm.
all throughout history, which is cool
Well,
because that really shows. Oh yeah, with the future they had the mask and stuff. Yeah,
but also they went from like silver in the past to like gold accents in the present. Like
yeah,
they had gold
yeah.
trimmings.
So it's like slight changes, but the
Slight
whole like
changes, but
look of it is pretty
yeah,
much the
exactly.
same, which is cool because that just shows that history and that old way, the honor that it holds. It just shows what that holds, the power of that uniform and what it symbolized. So I thought that was cool that they kept that tradition. That's what it is, the tradition of this elite group of soldiers, which they still are some of the most badass soldiers in the
They
MCU.
are.
They
The the horde had to be a ferocious threat because it was picking those guys. It was picking them elite
man,
warriors off like crazy.
what
I was surprised.
what?
They were not
So
holding no own.
so yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one about the episodes and how strong they were. I was literally gonna say those same ones, so I think that was dope.
I'm gonna ask. Do you have any other questions or comments where we like rate the episodes or the episode or not episode, the entirety of the show?
I will say this too. I did enjoy that we got to see different eras
Yeah.
of the timeline, like you said. Like this is the earliest time in the MCU, and the closest we've gotten to that was with the Eternals. And with the Eternals, it kind of was like a speed rush. Went through it and brought them to the present day. So it was cool that we got to touch bases with that again and see what that world was like from the eyes of Wakanda. Definitely pun intended, because that's what they meant for it to be. So it was cool to get that, and of course, I always want more because I feel like it's some juicy stuff they could have had in there. But I'm cool with what we got. Like I said, I think that was really cool that we got the Trojan War and the Achilles and all that. And he got him on that hill. I was like,
He
okay.
did.
I was
Yeah.
like, y'all gotta have it in there if he going was cool. But other than that, I appreciate things like this because even though it's like very subtle and short, it's good enough to not. It's just like Friendly Neighborhood Spider Man. Like they hit all the right points. It's not like it's the best thing ever, but it did what it was supposed to do. It did the job.
Exactly. I
I
agree.
definitely appreciated it for that.
I think that I think one. I'll harp on every podcast with a Marvel show. I say the same thing. Give us more than 4 episodes.
Or
Give us more
six, like
6 episodes. Really live in it. I don't think the pacing or anything was bad or anything like that, but it definitely wanted me. It definitely led me wanting more from
yeah,
what
because
we
you want
got.
to see. Yeah, you want to see what happened with this character, or is it something more to this part of the story? How did they handle the first like infiltration of Wakanda, stuff like that? Is this why they built the wall up? Because you could tell it wasn't like a force field around it. Because every time they showed it, it was just like this little plot of land.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So it
my
hadn't been
biggest
up.
question, though, this is my biggest question, D, because we know from Black Panther lore that the first Black Panther came around, I think, sometimes after that first episode, sometime after that. So I
Yeah,
was just like, "Where's all the Black Panthers?" I know it wasn't about them, but I was like, "Dang, we got one all the way at the end, but she from the future. Like, where the other ones at?"
we're
But
like
I understand why, because they weren't the focal point. But still, I was like, you could have just gave us one cool ass like Black Panther suit, just one little one. But I'm cool with that.
look, I would love a anthology series on Black Panthers from the earliest up to like maybe close to the future, where we get to see because I think there is in the comics this one from 10,000 BC. I think the Black Panther from there, which would be cool to see. And then I would love to see more of the future Black Panther. Honestly, she was cool. Like I would like to see her in the timeline that is like fixed.
Yeah, she definitely is. I think
You
she
think we're
might
gonna
be.
get that in the movie?
I think she might be the first live like animated to be in live action from their animated universe.
That would be
I think
cool.
so.
That suit was clean, but I'd like to see him like make it in live action. And also, I definitely want to see a tree of how the royal tree, because is this coming from Shiri and Ella, or is this coming from M'Baku? Because he definitely does
Oh
have a
yeah.
right to it now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where does she fall into the royal?
Now you got me thinking. There might need to be another podcast. What is the lineage of the Black Panther films leading up to the third one? I think we should do speculation
Oh yeah,
podcast about
definitely.
Black Panther 3. If y'all would like that, y'all agree, put it in the comments below. Give us suggestion topics or anything y'all think might happen. But I think other than that, D, that's all I got.
Yeah, I gave my last thoughts and comments. I don't got anything else to say. Honestly, I just want more. What is your rating for the series?
I give it a strong 7. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5. I'm gonna give it a little edge. It was good, and the implications of the last episode got me speculating and wanting more. So it did what it was supposed to do. Its job.
That was the strongest one. All of
Yeah,
them, definitely.
that was great.
And the fighting though throughout the whole series, the fight sequences were great.
The fight sequences were very
especially that first episode, she was whooping everybody ass. Yeah, so I
it was
forgot to say that
clean.
too.
It was just really fluid with the action scenes and stuff like that, especially in that first episode, especially when they dove into Iron Fist and how she was she gave a look like I'm gonna beat your ass. That's just where her look on her face was the entire time she was just on it. She would just look at you like, don't make this hard on yourself. I got the hands. So honestly, they can keep doing characters. They can give Iron Fist. I'd watch an Iron Fist miniseries. Let's add that to the pile, Marvel. Let's put it on the top. Shang-Chi too, because he's underrepresented.
Yeah, they're doing my boy wrong too, but that's a podcast for another day.
Hey, add it to the pile. But you know what time it is?
It is time for a shameless promotional.
Ooh, we got a Wakanda in the building. All right. And if you like this episode, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell on the right side of it to be notified of our future videos. Leave us a comment about how you felt about Eye of Wakanda. Did you like it? Did you think it was mid? Some people on the internet. Or did you think that the strongest episode was episode 4? Or did you think that maybe 2 was your strongest episode? Let us know in the comments. And do you think our speculation on Black Panther 3 is great? Or did we miss the mark? Let us know. Follow us on our Instagrams. Sorry, not on this. Oh, actually, yeah, our Instagrams on our personal ones. It's in the description down below, or on the podcast, or both. Discord. We have a Discord. We have a Reddit. So talk to us there. Join us. We like to talk about all things comics and pop culture. And also, we'll take suggestions. If you have any questions, we'll might make a podcast out of it. So let us know. And I've been your host, Dmitri.
And I'm your host, Mark and Mall.
And this has been the Square Roundtable Podcast. We are out. Deuces.